the way things have started so far, Nate Eovaldi doesn't get the win, but looked phenomenal, just as we expect Nate Eovaldi to be. He goes up there, pitches a little hard out, and then says, you know what, guys, y'all take it from there. Bullpen let him down. All right. Next night, Jack Leiter steps on the mound, and Jack Leiter looks fantastic. If you got an opportunity to watch on Friday night or to listen on Friday night, Jack Leiter had a couple of moments where he got into some trouble. Mike Maddox says, hey, let's have a little conversation. And Jack was able to pitch out of each one of those moments. But I think the fun thing was to start. I mean, it was a beautiful start. First inning, he had 2 strikeouts. He was able to do a lot that we expected him to do. We've seen him show up and either have a bad first inning or a great first inning, and then after that, it's a different story from whatever the first inning was. This game, you could kind of see the entire defense was out there. Mike kept saying something that I thought was unique when it came to Leiter. He said, sometimes you have to, and Mike would say this frequently on our show, sometimes you have to do less. Sometimes you're doing too much. And Jack going out there and trying to strike everybody out with 97 and 99 miles an hour, take a little bit off. And he said it's more difficult to do. It's easy to say, difficult to do. But sometimes if you just go out there, do the right thing, maybe you get, and bam, as soon as he said that, double play happens. And Jack Leiter's out of the inning. And you're like, great, this is awesome. So it was really nice to see the Vandy boy, number 1 that we've drafted, get his opportunity to go out there and do that. I remember seeing him in his first game for the Frisco Rough Riders. Carter Freeman and I were both at that game, and it was exciting. There was a buzz about him. Now, I think there's still a buzz about what Jack Leiter is. What I'm interested in is how he follows it up. You know, you've done one game, and then you realize, I got to do this again. How will you respond to the next time? Do you prepare for it just like you did the first one? Do you say, I want to go deeper into this game? I want 7 innings. You know, I want more from this. You got a young arm. You can throw, get his opportunity. But Jack Leiter looked very good. Tonight on the Hill, you do have Kumar Rocker. Now, this is a dude who a lot of people have mixed feelings on him. There was a moment where I was thinking to myself, man, he might be the better option out of him and Leiter.
Yeah.
Then Jack went and did what he did on Friday night, and I was like, well, if both of them can perform at that level, we're doing well. During spring training, Kumar Rocker had 13 innings pitched, gave up 18 hits, 13 runs, 3 home runs, 9 walks. He did strike out 20. That's the thing of beauty, and that is something that Kumar Rocker can do. He can strike a lot of people out. He was working a little bit early in spring training on a different curveball, I believe. It was more of an over-the-top kind of thing. And I think he was just trying to maybe add that to his arsenal or work on it. It did look as he got further into spring training, he got better. Now he gets his first start in the rotation here. And Bochy told us, Chris Young even told us while we were out there on Thursday, hey, just because we have Patrick Corbin does not necessarily mean that Jack Leiter or Kumar Rocker will be gone. This is a meritocracy. And if you are pitching well, we will continue to give you those opportunities to pitch well, and they want them to.
Yeah,
heck, I mean, I could see a scenario where the front office told the team, "Look, this guy Kumar Rocker's up, and he's going to be up, and we're going to keep him here as long as we can because that's the only way he's going to learn." Now with this team, Evan Carter's down because he can't learn how to hit left-handers in the major leagues right now. That's just not going to be the team's like we're trying to win games. There's too many narrow margins for us to give him a chance to learn it. Teodo, not in the bullpen because he still needs to learn how to pitch in high-leverage situations, and we can't afford to let him come in here and lose games for us right now until he proves he can do it in the minor leagues. Well, Rocker had his opportunity last year to prove he could pitch in the major leagues, and they're giving him another shot to do it this year. He's going up against Cincinnati and Ellie De La Cruz this afternoon. How you feeling about what Rocker's going to give us tonight?
I think he's going to go out and perform much like Leiter did, man. And you know, he's a guy, the swing and miss stuff is just so real with him. I mean, he showcased that in the few starts he got at the end of last year. I think the big issue is just the command. There's times, and we saw it in the last exhibition right before the season started last week. I mean, we're sitting here, and I'm watching it with Broadus, and Broadus is yelling like, man, this dude just can't find the strike zone. And it's true. I think you brought up something, though, that was key, and that's the defense behind these guys. There was some times last year in Leiter starts where he didn't get helped.
Right.
And there were some
Tavares
runs,
screwed him over a couple times for sure.
There were some things that might have been, he'd been able to get out of some jams, and the ERA would have been much lower, but he didn't get the defensive support. I think that was huge for him on Friday, and I hope that Kumar Rocker is able to benefit from that tonight. But I am excited to see what he can do. And on the road against this lineup, you mentioned Elly De La Cruz, but I think overall he might have some beneficial matchups to take advantage of. I don't think that he's going to probably go much past 5.
Okay.
Maybe he can go 6. I mean, it'll depend on pitch count a little bit.
For sure.
But I think Boch is certainly trying to make sure these guys are leaving confident. I think there's a risk involved.
Very good point.
When Jack Leiter's going the third time through the order has been a little bit of an issue for him. So I think that you do, and Boch is aware of that, right? Do I want to spoil what is a good outing just because I want to see, hey, can you give me just a little bit more? Can I get 3 more outs from you? Maybe it's not worth it when it comes to some of the psychological stuff that goes into this.
I love what you're saying about the confidence part of it, because then they go back and Mike Maddox can say, did you see how all these things I told you worked?
Yeah.
And they're looking at that going, oh, man, not only do I have a W on my ledger now, but I also got a few strikeouts, not a bunch of runs. My ERA is not inflated, and so I don't have a bunch of people in my ear trying to fix things. So you go to the next one, and maybe you can, as you get deeper into the season, squeeze a little more out of them. The Rangers they've given up 6 runs in those last 3 games. That was nice. That was nice to see that they were brilliant. The pitching was able to do that. And Evaldi in his start, he was phenomenal as well, and the bullpen hurt him there. But I probably get too ahead of myself when I start thinking about the future of Jack Leiter and Rocker. Like, here we have DeGrom and Evaldi in some pretty big contracts. 3 more years for both of them?
Yeah.
And there's Rocker and Leiter, and I'm thinking to myself, they're going to replace those guys at some point. Those are going to be your aces, your number 1, number 2 at some point down the road. But now here we are going, hold on, we got all 4 of them. Like, at the moment, we have 4 of those guys, and those 2 young bucks are learning from the older guys too. They're observing, they're watching, they're seeing what they're doing. This is a fun situation.
It is. Well, not to mention another young arm in Cody Bradford.
Yes.
Who hopefully, you guys got the really positive news. But I thought the first month of last season, Cody was your best pitcher.
Yes.
So that's another, and it's been proven.
And he does it differently than Leiter and Rocker because he's a little more of a soft tosser.
Yes.
But he pitches well. He hits his locations, and he has a lot of good movement on his pitches.
There's an art form, really, when it comes to pitching like that. But I think one thing's been proven, especially with the injuries to Gray and Bradford, you can't have enough good arms. So I do love this. Like, go out there and compete. If you earn your spot, we signed a Patrick Corbin to be an innings eater, but nothing's guaranteed. And that's here with CY. I do think there's a sense of entitlement. Maybe if I'm talking about like the Cowboys, for instance, when you draft a player or you sign a player, and I got to earn this.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be starting at left tackle or whatever it is.
Yes.
The competition's good, man.
I love it.
And earning that spot and going out there and saying, like, I've got to perform or else I'm going to lose this spot, there's also something to say about that.
Yeah. Now, Alec, I don't like Bregman that much. Sorry, that's just the way I feel about it.
I did love how the fans just continued to berate him with the boos.
Yes, that was...
Screw him.
That made me feel better after this series against the Red Sox was over because I felt like, you know what? We stuck it to Bregman one more time. Every time he stepped up to the plate, I just had this bad taste in my mouth.
It's fun to keep that going. It really, it's all in good fun because... I've even heard from people who have actually been around him that he's actually a pretty decent dude. I'm like, but still, just for the fandom of it, he could be an incredible guy off the field. It's just Alex Bregman, the baseball player, carries so much weight just for what he was a part of, which, whether he was indirectly or directly involved, whatever, I don't care. I'm still going to boo him when I'm at the games because it's fun.
Yeah.
So, at this point, he's the prodigal villain for the Texas Rangers franchise. Just like it doesn't matter if Jose Altuve played for another franchise somewhere down the road. He's going to get booed. Mm-hmm. It's fun. And even if we lost the series, I would have been like, hey, we still booed Alex Bregman out of the building. So we did something right. We took a win somewhere.
I'm glad you brought up Altuve because I predicted that he would cost them 7 games this season.
Ooh.
And then I saw Soto directed a ball towards him. I don't know if Soto is that good where he's just like, I'm hitting it to Altuve, watch this. But Altuve's going underneath it. He gets near the wall. nowhere near the ball. Nowhere near it.
It looks weird.
I said double it up. He's going to cost him 14 games this year.
It's baseball follies with him out there.
It is.
And he just looks so tiny.
When you watch Napoli try to do that back in the day, and you just see he's like, all right, that ball's way over my head. You could see that happen multiple times. It's nice to see that Altuve is fumbling around out in left field. Now, the Friday night, I settled in. I got the. If y'all haven't had the opportunity, enjoy both of the pregame show right here on the radio, or you can check it out on TV. Got to see Matt Hicks, got to see Eric Nadel, Jared Sandler, Mike. The whole group's doing some stuff together. I think it's a fantastic pregame show. I think it does really well on radio as well. They do a really good job of combining it. But Jared Sandler got up there, and Zach, he's decided to mix some jokes into the pregame. Ooh. And it's like he's like, you know what? I was part of 105.3 The Fan for a long time. That station is really good at sports content, but they also make you laugh your butts off.
Oh, the laughs.
Let's go have some fun. And he brought out the boomstick burrito. And during Matt Hicks' interview with Bruce Bochy, Jared said that he was going to try to eat said burrito and eat as much as he possibly can. Do you have a couple of clips from this?
I do. I have the beforehand and the aftermath. So he wanted to see exactly how much he could take down.
I'm going to see how many inches I can take down.
Good gosh.
Yep, and we did get an answer of exactly how many.
I got about, 6.5 inches.
Now.
And then he stuffed in there. That was the next line that came along with that, by the way. And at what point was where Adrian was sitting next to me and he said that, and her head popped up and she goes,
"What did he just say?
Did he lose a bet?" He had to have lost a bet for him to do this. And I'm very curious. I'm going to have to reach out to Jared and say, hey, man, did you lose a bet, or are y'all just being more casual with this pre and post?
I think that's exactly what it is. He wants to be entertaining. He wants to kind of keep this thing loose and fun, and I love it. Anytime you can incorporate food, I think the people, it gets them going.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about how many inches you can take.
Eric is definitely watching if they're talking about both of those things.
Oh,
food
he
and
is
inches.
definitely watching.
So you know he's in on that. From the 469, I was in section 102 Saturday night, and I was booing the hell out of Bregman and calling him a bum. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for keeping that going and keeping it alive.
Bum.
And Chris Young hopped on with us before the opening day's game, and I asked him, I was like, hey, what can the fans do? How can we make this a real home field advantage? I thought he gave a great explanation on what he expects and what he wants. And I hope Rangers fans, after seeing, they're up 3-1, they're in control of the AL West right now, and I think they have a 67% chance of making the playoffs at the moment. It's early in the season. We still have 158 games left, so there's a lot to go. But every time they have a home game, be out there. Be that kind of loud. Be rowdy. It's a lot of fun. How frustrated do you think Josh Young is right now?
Oh, extremely.
With his neck injury.
Extremely frustrated.
He's having some neck spasms, and he's going on the 10-day. Now, Bochy does say that he thinks that it's going to be a little helpful, maybe in the last part of it, last 4 or 5 days. He won't even need the 10-day, but because he has the opportunity, is Bobby behind me doing something right now?
I just feel,
Bobby walked into the studio. He's actually just sitting down.
No,
he's not, just sitting.
He's not doing anything, but like in true Bobby fashion, I feel like something is about to happen.
Yeah, you're aware that
he's got something planned.
If you're watching on the Twitch or the YouTube right now, Bobby is, I believe, probably sitting behind me on the screen. So just be aware that is in existence. But yeah, I know before the season when we saw he had a neck spasm, the first thing was, man, our injured guys are already kind of injured. Him and Corey Seager. And now that you see this with Josh Young, it is a little bit concerning, but hopefully he's able to come back and get back in that lineup and be able to provide the leadership that he wants, because that team does look to him and they respect him, they care about him. But when you're not there able to do the work, a lot of times it loses a little bit of its luster.
It's been an issue for him even going back to college. And I know how frustrated he is because he's been open and he's talked about it, and he'll blame himself for some of these injuries that I do think are just kind of bad luck. And I don't think he would have been on the IL if it weren't for Josh Smith also getting hurt. I think it was like, we have to make a move here. We need Jonathan Ornelas to be able to play against Boston. So put him on the IL. Hopefully this is just he comes back and you don't have any more issues for at least 2 months.
Yes.
Because you need just like something like a solid chunk of playing time where Josh Young is not dealing with anything.
Yes, exactly.
He's got to put this behind him.